Right, so that's officially the first full working week of 2025 done. And I have to honestly say, the reason why I'm recording this like this, me laying on the sofa, is because I'm absolutely shattered. I genuinely feel like that Christmas break didn't even happen, because the stress, the pressure, the workload, it just feels like it's just carried on straight after Christmas as it was before Christmas. I haven't gotten home this week before 9 p.m. You see, the earliest I've been home is 9 p.m. The latest I was home, I think it was just gone 10 o'clock. So silly season is still in full swing, and it's not showing any signs of letting up, especially with the big freeze that we're having at the moment. And yeah, it's just relentless out there. I don't know how you guys are finding it, but for me, it's absolutely manic. And yeah, it's taking it out of me. So hence why I'm laying on the sofa, just getting this video edited for you guys, so at least you can enjoy some content. And yeah, this is the first time it happened to me. I'm gonna carry on this at the end of the video about why I got kicked out of this customer's house. So stay tuned until the end, and then I'll fill you in on a little bit more information on that. So I've just got to this first job. Well, I think it's going to be my only job for the day, because this week is a little bit difficult for me, tricky for me in terms of getting a lot of work booked in, because Nick has got work commitments and I've got work commitments as well, but mine I can be a bit more flexible, whereas with hers she can't. So it means I'm doing a lot of the school drop-offs and pickups and stuff. So it means I'm going to be limited to how much work I can get booked in. But we are here today, and we've got a Worcester CDI, 37 CDI, which I believe heating's fine, but no hot water. Sounds like a plate, so let's go and have a look.
And
yeah,
then it will just go cold.
And it will cut off.
Yeah, so
right.
Cold
what we want to do is, so if you keep that running on hot,
yeah,
I want to have a look at this temperature.
Yeah.
If this starts to shoot up very quickly, and it gets to over like 80, 90 degrees, then that's telling me that we've got a blockage in the plate heat exchanger, which is there's a component inside your boiler which heats up the hot water as it comes through. Right. So if you're saying that it's cutting off, so going on and off,
yeah, but
then this might be.
Not really like a, yeah, it's cold now. It's
cold at the moment.
It's freezing cold, but it's
right.
It's got no heat to it.
Okay.
Thing, you know.
Well, that at the moment is holding steady.
Yeah.
So the other thing,
around about 50, to be honest.
So it doesn't really shoot up that often.
No, it's nearly, you know. Very occasionally we've had it in the red, but for yolks, and there's a thing under there that
filling
my
loop.
husband turned around and said, you poke it and it sort of like just lets the air or something.
That's right. And
then, but we don't really have to do that very often at all.
Right.
To be honest with you.
So the fact that that's not shooting up, that's telling me that the plate heat exchanger seems to be okay. It might be your diverter valve. So I'm gonna do another little test on this by shutting off your heating flow pipe.
Yeah.
Because
will you have to turn, I know it sounds a stupid question, but will you have to turn the electric off at all?
Not the electric, just the boiler. I won't need to turn the main electric off or anything like that.
Oh yeah, no worries.
But what I want to do at the moment, because we want to, that's mildly warm.
Yeah, it's just like absolutely luke.
But the boiler's not cutting out, so that's telling me that we don't have an overheating issue. I think you might have a diverter valve issue. So what we'll do, what we're going to do, there's another component which is called the diverter valve. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to turn the heating valve off for the time being.
Yeah. And
now we want to see if that's getting hotter.
Oh, that number's going up slightly, doesn't it?
Yeah, so that's fine. It's not overheating. That's climbing pretty steadily. Right. Do you want to run your hand under that tap for me now? Tell me if is that better?
Yeah. Oh, it's a lot better. It's not boiling
no.
hot, is it? But it's like
it's definitely better than what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot better.
And that's not shooting up too quickly either. So I think we've sussed it. The problem is your diverter valve.
Yeah.
So
yeah, because that's not on. that's not on maximum
And that's not max.
anyway, so it's
And normally, if there was a blockage inside the boiler, this would literally, within seconds, this would shoot to over 80 degrees, and then the flame would go out, and that would indicate that the boiler's overheating. But that's now, that's staying steadily hot?
Yeah.
Perfect, right. So we know what the problem is the diverter valve. Let me go see if I've got one in the van. It might just be the paddle, it might be the motor itself. So let's actually take the case off first and see if the motor moves properly. If it doesn't move, then it might just be the motor. If the motor's moving and we're still getting that issue, then I'll change the whole diverter valve in the boiler.
Yeah, great.
Right, so with the case off now, I can see that the right hand side has split. Right at the back there, it's dripping. And now when I look closely here as well, you can see there's a drip coming from the bottom of the PRV.
Right.
So that whole right hand block needs replacing anyway.
Yeah.
The electrodes need replacing. But for the time being, what I'm going to do today is that motor is just stuck on heating mode. So even if you put it in hot water mode, that should be motoring up and down.
Right.
So if I put this in service mode, so keep that pressed, we should see that motor move into mid position, but it probably won't. Right, so look, that's gone into service mode. That motor is not moving whatsoever. Right, so what we're going to do, we'll turn that off, and we'll go and grab a motor from the van. We'll plug the new motor in, and we'll watch the spindle move up and down to prove that the motor is what's at fault. And then I'll come back one day next week with a whole new right hand block, and that will incorporate the new diverter valve paddle and everything into it as well. And we'll change the flow turbine adapter, the PRV, the AAV on there, and the electrodes all in one go. Okay, so I'm gonna change the electrodes here today because I've got a set. That's gonna make me sleep better at night because get rid of the solid. That's already looking a bit milky, so that's probably not far off cracking. I've got the new diverter valve. I did have some motors on the van, but I've used them up, so I'm gonna break this open, just use the motor in here, but I'm not gonna charge the customer for the motor today because when I come back to do the right hand block, it comes with a whole new diverter valve incorporated into it anyway. So when I bring the whole new right hand block, I'll just take the motor back out and then pop that in there. So they're just going to get charged labor today plus the cost of the electrodes. So when I come back, probably next week or so, then we'll do the whole right hand block and do the AAV and the diverter valve and everything in there at that time. So let me show you guys how I test the diverter motor, because as you saw, this one here is literally just sitting in the hot water position. So that's sitting down. It doesn't even move into mid position. It doesn't move up. So I'm going to disconnect that. I'm going to plug in the new one, and then I'm going to show you how it's supposed to work. So that's the old electrodes compared with the new ones. So you can see the flame rectification is starting to wear out, and the top two electrodes, they're not too bad. With the cleanup they could be alright, but the main issue here is that sight glass. So we're going to replace it with the solid bar type. Put this foam gasket on. Let's try and do this one-handed. Right, and then pop that in there. Got two new screws, T20 screws, so let me screw that in. I've replaced the diverter motor, and then I'll turn it on in a moment and I'll show you how that's meant to move and how that wasn't moving. Right, new electrodes are on. Now watch that diverter motor. When I turn the boiler on, you see that move up and down. See? So that's heating mode. Now that's hot water mode. Okay, that one, look, it's just stuck on heating mode. So that's why they weren't getting anything going to the hot water side. Now as soon as I open up a hot tap, that spindle should move into the up position on its own. See? Because that's now recognized the demand for hot water. And remember, that one was just stuck there. So at least now they've got hot water. And I'll come back next week and I'll replace the whole right hand block and make sure everything else is okay. So that's a nice quick repair for the customer done for today. Let me just remember to open up the heating flow valve as well. Otherwise I'll be getting a call back saying the heating's not working now. So that's that done for now. Yeah, and we'll come back next week and sort out the right hand block. Right, you probably can't see me, but hopefully you can hear me. Just got another breakdown. I'm going to have a look at it. It's one of the old Baxi Combi HEs, the one with where it's got the different symbols and the flashing lights. It's flashing on the fan symbol, which, well, that's what I've been told from the customer and the pictures I've been sent. So it could be a fan fault. So we're going to go in, have a look, see what's going on, check if we have power going to the fan. If we do and the fan's not spinning, then most likely it's going to be a faulty fan. If we haven't got power to the fan, then faulty board. You know, let me grab some fan oil out the van as well in case it's just seized up, if I can free it up. And then we'll go inside and have a look. I'm not very happy with the parking situation because it's on a dual carriageway and I've had to park on the closest side road. And then I've got to walk down. So, right, let's go inside. Right, this is the one. So it's the Baxi Combi 105E. So this was the predecessor to the Geotex, I believe. So this is the one where you got the big brass diverter valve on the left. And as you can see, we've got the fan symbol flashing. The pump is currently running. I can feel that's moving in there. Let's get the combustion case off and let's test if we've got power going to the fan or not. Right, I've got the case off. Let's try and reset it first. So, got demand on there. The pump's still running. Pump proving switch has made. Now let's test. Do we have power going to the fan? So let's find earth. And yeah. So we've got power going to the fan, but fan's not doing anything. Let's check between live and neutral. Yep. Oh, look. See, look. It's trying to fire now. It's trying to spin. So yeah, the fan's seized up basically. And that's why it's not flashing. I mean, that's why we've got the fan light flashing there. So that's how you test if you've got a faulty fan or faulty PCB. If you've got power going to it, it means that the PCB is sending the power to the fan. Obviously the fan itself is not spinning. But what I'm going to try and do today is maybe put a bit of fan oil in there and try and get that to spin. Try and see if I can kickstart it just for the time being. And then we'll have to maybe come back and replace the fan altogether. Alright, so I've just dropped a bit of fan oil on the symbol. Oh, the spindle, I should say even. Let's see if that spins now. No, I think the windings are completely fried. I don't want to do anything. Another dark encounter. Parked in some dodgy backyard parking area. But it's because this next job is right next to Gansel Roundabout. And there's nowhere to park, so yeah, I'm just parking behind some shops. I don't know if I'm allowed to or not, but when needs must, got to park where you got to park. Now this is a Worcester CDI, and apparently they've got hot water but no heating. I think that's what they said. Let's just go in and see what's going on. Okay, so we've got a CDI combi. Now the customer just moved a tray that was completely full of water here. They said that's only been sitting there for a couple of hours and it got filled up. They do have hot water, but they haven't got heating. So pressure's on 0 there. So let's get the case off. Let's see what's actually been leaking inside. Because the customers asked me to give them a price for a new boiler, but the CDI is a pretty solid boiler as long as it's been looked after and maintained properly. So if we can get it repaired, get it fixed, then there's no need to waste money on a new boiler. But let's have a look inside, let's see what the condition of it is and if it's worth repairing or if we do need to put in a new boiler. Let's get the case off and have a look. Oh, why is it firing up? It was trying to do something. Maybe someone ran a hot tap, I don't know. But I found the source of the leak. The AAV that is absolutely streaming out. There's some pump screws here, so it looks like the pump's been changed in the past. Can't see anything else leaking other than the AAV. The blocks on both the left, well, this is the right hand block and the left hand block, they all seem okay. Electrodes with the sight glass, so they're going to need replacing, but the main issue here that they've got is hot water is fine but no heating. So let's top up some pressure, let's put a heating demand on and let's see what the boiler does. Let's have a look at that diverter valve, see if that moves over to heating position. If it doesn't, got one with me, so let's test that one first. Okay, so I've just put the boiler into service mode a minute ago and the diverter motor is motoring up and down, so I don't think it's that. I've got a bar of pressure in there now. Now I just need to, this time switch is not working, so I don't know if maybe that's the reason as well. I'm going to get the customer to put the heating on and then see what it does, because it came on and we had a bit of, I can feel that there's heat or there's a bit of warmth down the flow pipe. I've checked underneath here, there is a filter and the valves are open, so that's all fine. There's no restrictions on that side. Have we got any heat coming back on the return? No. So the boiler's sort of firing on and off. Now I don't know if that's comfort mode for, if I put eco mode on, let's put eco mode on, right, so that should turn off the comfort mode, so that should stop that from intermittently firing. So now I should be able to test the heating properly and see, I want that diverter motor, I want that motor to move down into the heating position. I've just taken the time switch off, that wasn't even plugged in. So let's turn the power off to this and let's open up the PCB casing and see what's going on with thermostat controls, because customer doesn't have a thermostat, they've just been turning up and down manually from here. So let's see what's going on with the thermostat terminals in here. Okay, so if we look at these terminals, there is a thermostat wired in somewhere, because we've got LS and LR. Obviously live and neutral, that's the mains cable, but this is a thermostat cable. So let's see if we can find a thermostat. If not, maybe, well, not maybe, what I can do to test it is just link out LR and LS. So that will create a temporary link in there, and then they can control it from the boiler stat on the front when they want heating and when they don't want heating. And then maybe I can come back and fit a new thermostat, because that cable there, where's that going? That is going into this bit of trunking which disappears up into the ceiling. So let's see if we can find a thermostat. Okay, so I've put a link cable between LR and LS. Now let's put some power on, let's turn the boiler on, and what I want to see is that diverter motor there. Once it's calibrated itself, goes up and down from heating to hot water mode, I then want that to sit on the bottom position for heating. I want the boiler to fire up and I want to see the heating come on. So let's power on from there. All right, that's calibrating itself, going down. There we go. That's now sitting in heating position. Boiler's fired up. Gives that a few minutes. I can already feel heat going down the flow pipe. So let's give that a few minutes to obviously circulate the heat around the system. As long as that stays fired up, do you know what? It's probably going to go into siphon fill mode, isn't it? Yeah, it's gone into siphon fill mode. All right, I can't remember how to take it out of siphon fill mode, so let me go on YouTube, because there's a video on there which I've used before to help me get it out of siphon fill mode, because that will last for 15 minutes and it won't ramp up to max rate until it's gone through siphon fill mode. Let me cancel that and then let's come back to it and let's see if the heating's running. That's still on. Temperature is creeping up gradually. I can hear the boiler starting to ramp up slowly. Got some warmth coming back on the return. Let's go and ask the customer if they're getting heat to some of the rads. This one I think is turned off. Yeah, this one's off. Let's go and find out if they can feel any heat to any of the radiators. Hi sir, do you want to just check some of your radiators if you're feeling that they're getting warm now?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Is it coming on?
It's coming on. You have one in the living room, you want to check?
Yeah. I think one of them are quite slow.
Yeah.
So this is coming on.
Good.
Are you happy down there?
Sorry?
Are you happy?
I'm happy here because the boiler's still on and it's still running and it's starting to, I can hear it, it's getting more and more powerful. So it means the heat is starting to circulate around the system. You can feel it? Yeah? That's always a good sign when they can feel the heat as they walk upstairs. So I think on this job it's going to need a new thermostat, electrodes and an AAV. And I've used up my last set of electrodes on the van today on the other CDI that I went to. So I'll have to come back with a new set of electrodes for that and get all those bits done. But at least we've got the heating up and running for today. And that's the main thing. So I had a job this past week where I didn't record it because I just didn't, and probably a good thing that I didn't, because I don't think that would have gone down well either. It was a job through an insurance company, which I do a bit of work for, and I went to the job. The boiler was ID, and I explained the situation to the customer, and instead of being understanding about it, they just kicked off. And I explained to them I've got to turn the boiler off. It was an old Pocton Suprema HE, and the flue had all been leaking. The flue seals are gone. Inside the main heat exchanger was all rusted. That had been spilling, it looked like, as well. The main heat exchanger was split as well. I could see watermarks coming off of it. And I explained to her that, look, it's not safe for me to leave on. I've got to follow my job, what I'm doing. And then they gave me the whole spiel about, okay, they've got a 90-plus-year-old lady living at the house, her mum, and I'm absolutely not turning it off. I said, well, look, you're well within your rights to refuse, but I'm just letting you know about the procedure that will happen if I have to call out Caden. Just wasn't having any of it. And I called up Caden. She thought Caden were British Gas, saying, oh, well, at least they can come and fix the boiler. I was like, no, they are not here to fix the boiler. They're here to make safe, because they have to act in the interest of safety. So even when I was on the phone to Caden, the call handler who was taking all the information, I had them on speaker. Then she then started to have a go at him, and this, that, the other, and it just basically just was not prepared to understand or listen to what I was trying to explain to her. It was just no. I was like, fine, it is what it is. Even when I took her off speaker, and the call handler from Caden, although they can't say what they want to say, he basically said, in other words, I get it. So yeah, that's the first time that's actually ever happened to me. I've never actually had to call out Caden for an ID situation where the customers refused. Usually when I explain to them the consequences of what could happen if they refuse to let me turn the appliance off, they say, okay, do you know what? It's not worth the hassle. Just do what you got to do and I'll get it sorted. And it's the worst part of my job, having to turn the boiler off. I hate doing it. I don't enjoy doing it. I'm there to fix things. My job is to get things up and running, but at the same time, I have to act in the interest of safety as well. And unfortunately, these sort of situations do occur. And it's always the same thing. Oh, it was fine last year when it was serviced. Oh, it's been okay. It may have been, or it may not have been. We know, what some engineers are like. Some don't even take the case off, and some do. And maybe it was fine last year. Maybe it's gone wrong since then. But considering the age of the boiler, I would assume that, and from what I saw, that's been going on for a while. So long story short, the customer basically kicked me out of the house. I filled out my manual warning notice. I did put a sticker on the boiler before I left, and I just took the reference number from Cadent, wrote it down on the warning notice, and put it for the letterbox, and off I went. Don't know what's happened about it. I hope she did let Cadent turn him off and then deal with it afterwards, because if she didn't, then that's probably going to cost her a lot more than what it's just going to cost her a lot. So yeah, that was that. That's the first time that's happened to me before. Don't know about you guys. If you've got any stories about similar situations, feel free to drop them in the comments. But other than that, I hope you have enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you guys on the next one. I know I didn't put one out last Wednesday. Like I said, it's just been absolutely manic. I'm going to try and get one out for this Wednesday as well, but just bear with me. It's just busy at the moment. And I'll be honest, content is starting to take a bit of a backseat. I don't want it to, but it's just the amount of workload I've got. It kind of feels like it is. So we're trying to at least keep Sundays up, but I'm going to try and get back up on the 2 a week for you guys. But yeah, just bear with me. And do you know what? If you want me to do 2 videos a week, like and subscribe and comment, and I'll do it. I'll see you guys soon.